I've been trying to think of an introduction that goes with like the reality TV documentary thing.
I mean, you're literally the documentary interviewer of the two of us. So
this is true. This is very meta in that we're going to be talking about people watching a show where people are talking about.
Where people are watching a show where people are talking about recordings that were taken about other people, and then the worlds within worlds, the frames within frames. So
indeed,
amazing.
Yeah. So yes, that'll work as our framing device for the framing.
That'll work.
Yeah. Hi, friends.
Howdy, y'all.
Hiya.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Pet Culture Critic videos on YouTube.
I'm Josh Gosdin. I'm a big old nerd.
And today, returning for one more time, we have our friend Charley.
Hi, I'm Charley, and I am another nerd. Big, small, all sizes, all variations. I try to encompass everything in my nerdiness.
Nerds of appropriate size.
Mm-hmm.
The Naz, yes.
May have been one of the nerdiest things I've ever said, and that's a high bar.
It was pretty good.
All right. Well, we are here to talk about a constellation of doubts, which is very meta, that we are commentating on a thing where they're commentating on footage where it's fun. And there's a couple interesting special guests playing roles in the thing that we'll talk about as well. Some who are guesting, including the writer of the episode, David Kemper, is in fact in this episode.
Oh, no kidding.
He's the guy in shadow.
Oh, that's funny.
I think so. And then Brian Henson.
So my whole theory about the guy in shadows, I can throw that out the window.
Yeah, you're done for.
And then Brian Henson plays one of the guys too. He plays Dr. Hamilton. I have the list of all the people. So we will go through all the various commentators. But first, we'll do the summary. A Constellation of Doubt, written by David Kemper and directed by Andrew Prouse. Aeryn has been captured by the Scarens, and the crew have only one clue to find her: the name of a base, Katratzi. Sokozu is running down every possible lead, while being badgered by an increasingly unstable John, who is certain she knows the word. He remembers hearing it with her. When he's not hectoring Sokozu, John is hiding out in his room obsessively watching television. It seems Moya picked up a stray broadcast from Earth. It's a TV news special about the Moyans' visit. John and the crew watch as a series of talking heads comment on footage of themselves. It becomes ever more clear that so much of humanity is not ready for aliens, though there are moments of understanding. Eventually, Sokozu is forced to tell John that there is nothing she can do. He has a full-blown manic meltdown, but suddenly he sees an image that triggers a memory. He knows where he heard the word Katratzi. It was from Sokozu, but not this Sokozu. In fact, it was one of the alternate Sokozus in an unrealized reality. So John has a lead, but he knows he can't rescue Aeryn alone. Time to make a deal with the devil he knows, Scorpius. So
Here we go.
It's one of my most long and involved synopses. We talked about last time we had one that was all plot and very little depth. This is all depth and very little plot. So
very little plot.
Yeah. So thoughts? Initial thoughts?
I miss bottle episodes is my main thought. Not that it's entirely, I mean, a bottle episode has lots of different definitions, but I think generally speaking, when the plot pretty much stalls and you have clips of some sort involved, pretty typical bottle episode. And I miss them because we never have time for them in shows nowadays because they're not seen as worthwhile. And I think this is a very good example of a worthwhile bottle episode. Not that I think they even need to justify their existences, because I just love them. But yeah, that's my main thought. I love this episode. I love all the kooky little interviews and clip scenes, mostly just because I love the characters, and I love how it seems so. When you're watching it seems so kind of low effort, like they're just putting together a bunch of clips and scenes, and then you think about the behind the scenes of what would have been involved for all the different locations, all the different actors and guests. It just like, it seems like a very low effort episode, and then you think about it, it was like, this would have been a really high effort episode actually. So I just love it a lot. I love the kookiness. I love seeing all the characters, and I'm a sucker also for just John and Aeryn and their continuing love story and
saga.
Saga, epic.
So, point of order: this is not a bottle episode. Bottle episode is a definition is one that requires no extra sets. So it's yeah. Sorry for what the well actually like. It's I know what you're saying. It's one that doesn't involve a lot of plot. That's the thing. It's sort of a breather in some way, breather episode that does something different, breaks the thing, and doesn't really hold a lot of plot. But which it is we confuse sometimes for bottle episode. Like, totally understandable confusion. Bottle episode is when there are no extra sets or and usually little to no extra actors, guest stars. So like Crackers Don't Matter is a quintessential bottle episode and one of the best episodes of the series.
Yeah. I guess you can call it sort of a satire of a bottle episode in many ways. Like, it's got the format of it in terms of the plot slowing down and all of the clips. But yes, you're absolutely right. The point and that what people often find frustrating is that there aren't new scenes. It's just going through sort of using old clips in new ways. But I've always loved those anyway. So bottle episode or bottle episode impersonator. I love this one.
And I'm with you on the I miss breather episodes like that. Yeah. The ones where it's like we're gonna slow down and think and do theme and prepare before we launch into plot. Yeah.
Oh, the plot.
Josh?
I really enjoyed this one as well. I am absolutely a sucker for these kinds of like slow, let's sit with the characters in their emotions and their grief kind of a thing. Like, whenever the story slows down and lets me slow down with it, I'm hooked. I'm in. I just can't get enough of it. Ben Browder is just, he's always so good at despair. He's done despair a few times in the series, and he's so good at conveying helplessness, but also without feeling lethargic. Like, it's not, we don't feel like he's laying down on the job or anything like that. We feel like he's coiled. If there was something to do, he would do it immediately. But there's nothing to do right now. So he's watching TV and missing the girl that he loves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's like the edge of despair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My thoughts. I love this one. I love breather episodes that are done well, and especially like this is a David Kemper episode, so this is written by the showrunner. And this is some behind the scenes stuff. This took an exceptionally long time to film because they were doing it in bits, sort of around other things, and that means this is the episode during the production of this one that they learned that they'd been canceled. And everybody's last scene filmed are in this one.
No kidding.
Yeah. So like Claudia Black's last scene of filming main body Farscape is where she's making the sandwich. And the last scene ever filmed is John and Olivia in the cargo bay.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah. And Shiana, like Gigi Edgy's last scene is the bathroom scene.
Where she eats the lipstick.
Perfect final Shiana scene, honestly. No notes.
So, yeah, you can see they're all like, this is the last I'm going to get. This may be the last I'm ever going to get to do this character. I am going to give it my all. And by the time some of the episodes were filmed, the fans were already in the campaign to get the miniseries, to get it to come back in some way. So, they're like, we gotta knock it out of the park, and we got that. And the one person who didn't learn on set or from anyone in production is Lonnie Tupu, who now it just voices Pilot. He was on his way to a convention, and a fan ended up telling him that the show got canceled.
No, Lonnie.
So that must have been so hard.
I wouldn't have believed it. I'd be like, you're pranking me.
Let me call my agent.
The whole convention being like that, it's a conspiracy against me.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
That's just a bit of behind the scenes stuff. That yeah. And as to our experts, there's Brian Henson plays Edmund Johnston.
Okay.
That is Brian Henson. And yeah, the mysterious sort of man in shadow is David Kemper. Adrian Walker, specifically, he comments on Sikozu's gravity defying. He's just kind of like, wow. That guy, the actor, is Nicholas Hammond. Among other roles, was Frederick in The Sound of Music, one of the kids.
Jeez.
And Peter Parker in one of the very first Spider-Man. He was one of the very first filmed Spider-Man.
That's pretty cool.
The Amazing
Spider-Man. They assembled
Spider-Man.
the Avengers for this episode,
In
really.
1977. So yeah, there's a little bit of an inside joke from the production to have the guy who played Spider-Man be like, "Wow, I didn't know that character could defy gravity." So yeah, that's some of our little bits of background information. Yeah, this is a really fun episode, and I love the really developing the themes. We've got the whole humans don't give up thing, because one of the things that I've heard Vera Wild comment on this a few times in talking about various sci-fi things, the frustration with when the stories are always like, humans are amazing, and the aliens are all like, humans are amazing, and it can often, human exceptionalism for me, I always find it sometimes mirrors the American exceptionalism. And I really, which is something that pisses me off.
Sure. Because we suck.
And, well, I mean, you're complicated. But I love that in this we both have like humans are unexceptional. But we also have humans are also exceptional, like, because we have Dargo being like, yeah, you may not win. And we have Aeryn being like, you're not special. But we also have Naranti saying that the special thing about humans that she's seen, especially in John, is the not giving up. And the sort of childlike wonder and optimism. And so like, I really like that. To temper the humans are the special human exceptionalism thing, we just have there are ways in which humans are not and in which humans are not only nothing special but like totally uninteresting. And then there are things about humans that are interesting and that are special, and it's that not giving up which is then the theme of the whole episode, because it's the thing that runs through all of John's everything. He is trying desperately to not give up.
And I think that's something, as much as the human exceptionalism and aka kind of American exceptionalism narrative, really, you see it come up a lot in science fiction stories. I think you also see a lot of science fiction stories come in their own way to that conclusion instead, the idea of human perseverance or loving or persevering even when the odds are against us. I think a lot of narratives, which is what I love about science fiction, is they're inherently questioning human nature. I think that's a really common theme that a lot of different writers and shows and things come to eventually. So I think there must be something to it, because we keep coming back to that idea, and I think it's definitely one that I find, holds the most merit, and is... Yeah, because any other conclusions is just really easy to disprove, really, unfortunately. About us being the fairest, or having an innate sense of morality, having an innate ability to cooperate. All of those eventually do fall apart. So the idea of perseverance and never giving up, and that also not being an innately positive quality, but at least an innately admirable quality, is one that I quite like and I quite enjoyed. So yeah, it was a nice moment in this episode.
Yeah, what I appreciate about that is the things that are disproven, or at the very least refuted in this episode, about human exceptionalism, are the ways in which the human characters try to, on the Earthbound ones specifically, try to puff up their chests, and the one, kind of the argument that also popped up in the episode where they were on Earth, not just in this sort of quasi flashback sidequel kind of episode, was how can we be sure the aliens aren't a threat to us? And there is a deeply ingrained American egotism behind that statement. That we first have to ascertain that this new thing we've discovered is not a threat to us, that's our top priority, has an undergirding of, because obviously we're important enough for somebody to oppose us. And the way that the aliens in this episode shut down that argument is why would anybody threaten Earth? You don't matter. You're not important enough. You're not powerful enough. You're not strategic enough. You're not intelligent enough for anybody to feel like they have to threaten you. They can ignore you just fine. And that is a very uncomfortable idea to refute American exceptionalism. It pops up a lot of time in military fiction or in summer blockbusters and all that kind of stuff. The whole, are they a threat to America kind of a thing? And it's why would they be? Why would America be important enough to threaten?
And the thing to also point out that America is not exceptional, even in exceptionalism. When Britain held the hegemony, then it was Britain who was insecure about, is this thing a threat to England? And when France was the most powerful thing, it was sort of, it's whoever holds the hegemony, whoever holds the most power is the one with the panic that other people are going to take it away. Going back to Rome, going back to Greece, the hubris, the hubristic hegemony is also anxious that their glory is going to be is threatened.
Was that conversation between John and Jack and terra firma, where, you know, Jack was resisting, you know, sharing the technology with the rest of the world, and John was like, you know, no, there's no way forward if we don't do that. If it's and, you know, just the idea of like, well, if, you know, we share the technology, then they can use it against us, and just that constant we're so powerful, but also we're so weak because we're so powerful, so we're a target. So we can justify making ourselves more powerful and keeping others more weak, even if that is exactly the kind of behavior that makes us a target in the first place. It's just sort of an endless cycle. And Jack really annoyed me in that episode, but it was mostly because he was there to voice he was there kind of not really as, you know, a character. He was there to be that voice of, you know, American imperialism and exceptionalism and worry and human worry and justified fear of what, you know, the other might do. You know, I'm saying justified in just, you know, the most basic terms of course, you know, people
of course there's fear.
Get afraid. And there is a level of fear that we can understand. And then there is a level of fear where it is harmful and toxic and prejudiced. So I think, so he was there mostly just to represent that perspective, and it was resolved nicely in that episode, but it felt nice to come back to it here and develop it actually a bit further.
Jack learned the lesson, but not everybody did. And I think that the thing about that fear of the other that the powerful always have is that it's rarely is the other what actually brings down the powerful. it's internal divisions as we are watching happen. I know. Anyway.
What, talking about politics in this sci-fi show? Really?
It's a fun time to be in Texas right now.
Yay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's keep it light.
Speaking of keeping it light, shall we dig into some of our little vignettes and the commenters on them? Given on that subject, I think an interesting place to start might be Naranti and the ethics of killing. Just to keep things light.
Naranti just has a problem with ethics in general.
I mean, she's not wrong. There are times when people have to kill, and it's the hypocrisy of forbidding it and then condemning and making exceptions is how she put it. To condemn and then to make exceptions.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the rats.
Oh yeah,
no, that much more interesting philosophical conversation. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, if I'll keep it light and breezy. I grew up in Texas, and it's been. I think I've made this commentation on this podcast before. I grew up atheist. And it was a byproduct of both my parents, especially my dad, encouraging me to question everything, you know, and to not take things at face value. And so for a long time, the way that I've described it is I was trying to fit God into a beaker or a test tube, trying to measure the Bible. And it typically failed all efforts of scientific measurement that, you know, I in my youth could make. And man, I have a lot of empathy for people who are not Christian in the United States and in the southern United States especially, because at the very instant that I mentioned that I was atheist growing up, there went the next 30 seconds of my life, 30 minutes of my life usually, as somebody tried to save my soul. And usually it was condescending. Usually it was an authority figure who didn't really have any business doing that. And usually it was, for me, a grand forum for debate. I just relished it. And so I really, 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 really enjoyed the religious commentary that Naranti makes, and by extension, the show makes, to camera as she's talking. Because the current theocratic political climate that I'm trying to go to work every day in is very, very just hysterically hypocritical. And it continues to baffle and strain any effort at, well, but you said this. Why doesn't that apply now? Well, because it doesn't have to apply now. It applies when we need it to apply. Like there's never any opportunity for logical discourse because the theocratic mentality is one of divine makes right. And I don't have to explain myself to you. I actually got told that when I was a child as well, and I tried to, like, well, how do you know anything that you were taught is true? And they're like, I don't have to explain myself to you because my faith is correct. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, well, then I don't have to explain myself to you.
Yeah. But the history of the human race is the powerful will use damn near anything to justify hanging on to that power. And I think that's what Naranti is getting at.
And the ethics of the powerful is usually, I make the rules, you follow them.
Yep.
I don't have to follow them. Which is why, like, often when things are hypocritical, if you then look at them through the eyes of one side makes the rules, and some people make the rules and other people follow them. Mm-hmm. It all of a sudden there's no hypocrisy. That's the fundamental belief is I make rules, you are bound by them.
I'm not a hypocrite, you're just wrong.
We are playing different games.
Right.
Yeah. Thoughts, Charley?
Not much to add. Like, yeah, very similar in the, it's very much feels like speaking different languages at times. It's just, because yes, one, while I can and have always been, questioned and challenged and made to evolve in my beliefs, such as a Constellation of Doubt being a bottle episode,
if I didn't explain the difference, the commenters were going to just...
The commenters would have, yeah. But exactly, it's just whereas then there is a framework, a mindset that it's a different language. Sometimes when you're talking to some people where it doesn't have to... The logic such as it is can change, the rules can change, watch how Peterson holds a debate with 20 atheists. You just change the rules when you need to justify the argument, and so it's very much a different language. And so I'm very much it's not really a debate that I bother to engage with. But that being said, it is different from people who hold religions and hold faith, and who do speak the language of of difference and accepting others' point of views and being willing to change or to evolve or to find compromise. And so it's not I think of it as sort of a language, and there are some people who are fundamentally not going to engage with you in good faith, funnily enough, despite having all this faith. But yeah, no, it was beautiful. And I think I really liked part of this episode. I like that they had different talking heads, responding to what everyone was doing and to what Naranti was saying. And but they were a little bit stereotypical, obviously, like holding different sort of, the faith-based viewpoint, the scientist viewpoint, the philosophers, the religious leaders viewpoint. But they still felt quite human. And I think yeah, I like the idea of if this interaction had been able to continue, if they had stayed, that potentially down the line it would have actually led to something beautiful. Yeah.
Please allow me to take this moment to apologize on behalf of my entire nation for the existence of Jordan Peterson.
It's every Canadian's morning routine: wake up, have breakfast, brush your teeth, apologize for the existence of Jordan Peterson.
Listen, we don't have time for me to apologize for everybody that we've produced. We have a podcast to do, Sara.
I mean, it wouldn't be very American of you to apologize anyway. So,
whereas it is very Canadian. But we've criticized America a lot, so I want to apologize for. But actually, the thing is, for all that we do criticize America, because so much of it deserves it, I kind of have a bit of the perspective that Naranti does on America a little bit. As a Canadian and a Middle Eastern person, I have no love whatsoever for the country or the ideology of the country or anything like that. But individual Americans, and not even just as individuals, but like, I am constantly impressed by the optimism that Americans have, and that, they can do stuff. Like, I remember after, in the first administration of Mr. Orange Man, when he put in the Muslim ban, I was so impressed by all the Americans who showed up to the airport all over the place. They showed up to the airports to protest. And like, that is something Canadians wouldn't do. We're not very good at that. I mean, we did have our whole elbows up stuff and, like that, but it wasn't coming out and putting yourself on the line immediately in the defense of others like that. And it's obviously not all of America, but, there's a certain population of them. And then you guys are good at that, and it was Americans who did the civil rights movement. And, there is that spirit of optimism and, willingness to work together. Like I think every nation does have some thing about it that's special. About the way its community is built. And there are lots of aspects of Canada that there are aspects that frustrate me and aspects that I love. And I think that optimism and that hope is something that I see a lot of my American friends struggling with right now. But they are kind of in the state that John is in this episode. Like, I am so close to the edge, but I am holding on to the optimism.
Yeah, and John is an American, as much as we would like to, as much as we wouldn't like that to be the case. I'm joking. Yeah, he's an American, and I think at the end of the day, these are all narratives, these are all stories, these are all archetypes and stereotypes, and there's no one way of. The borders of the nations of the world are fairly arbitrary. That doesn't mean we don't also find truths in terms of the generalizations we make about people from a certain part of the world. It's just never an all-encompassing truth or reality, or as long as we accept that there is variety within it and diversity. And I think at the end of the day, when we're discussing American imperialism and entitlements and all of those things, it is about the overarching narrative and mindset, and how it affects people on an individual level, and certainly affects how many individuals operate. But is not a determiner of what every American is.
No.
And recently in Sydney, I, along with like 300,000 other people, marched across the bridge in support of Palestine, across the Harbour Bridge, and it was beautiful. It was a fantastic moment. It was not typical of Australians, though. We typically do not show up. We typically do not protest. It is definitely something that, you know, in recent years we have gotten better at. I think as we also experience the world turning to chaos, and that we, you know, get better at in times of crisis. You know, I was on the train into the city, and it was packed, like every station filled up with more and more people as we headed into the city, of people going just towards the march. And there were people there, you know, in their 70s talking about, the last time I went to a protest was to protest against Iraq, like joining, you know, going to Iraq and the war then, you know, and like that was the last time I've been to a protest. But and this is, you know, this has been, well, you know, it's been years since then, but we can show up and, yeah, I don't know. Now I'm starting to ramble, but we can change. We have variety and diversity, and we can improve, and sometimes we can get worse. And as Lorenzi says, despite that all, we keep going.
Yeah,
we try our best.
We do.
What is a podcast but a series of rambles?
What is humanity but a series of rambles?
We do keep rambling. We ramble on forward. And
yeah.
So my wife is a certified Gallup strengths coach. And Gallup has spent, you know, time and money and effort to, you know, categorize and classify typical traits that most people share. And, you know, it's stuff like empathy or inclusion or communication or learning, or, you know, one of my favorites is maximizer, which basically means being the best all the time. And one of the things that the program that she is certified in emphasizes is that it's just a trait. Whether or not it's good is in how you use it. You know, and it's like that in fiction too. Like a character having superpowers doesn't automatically make them a superhero. It's in how they use them. And the history of the United States is fraught with very large misuses of some of our traits. You know, our determination also led to the extermination of indigenous peoples. Like that was also part of never giving up,
or at least attempted extermination. We must not forget that they are still here.
And turning that into a positive, turning any kind of a trait into a positive, depends upon how it is used. So John, kind of being on the edge of despair right now, is stuck in a place where he has all of his experience, all of his upbringing, and all of the things over the last 4 years that have changed him as well. And they have all created traits within him. You know, he gets diagnosed by the lady with having PTSD, and a shockingly insightful, piercing diagnosis.
Which we have also diagnosed him with.
Yeah, we have someone unquestionably in like episode 2. And it, you know, it's all about how is he going to use his determination. And so far, so good. He's using his determination to not give up on the woman he loves.
Although, you know, he came very close to beating the shit out of Sikozu.
Exactly.
He was losing his he was holding her at gunpoint and everything. Yeah, that woman I find really interesting. Her character's name is Dr. Edith Anderson, who's a psychologist and author of What Makes Us Tick, A Study of Evil.
Wait, is she a real person?
No.
Okay.
I know. And I couldn't find who played her, but they did an exceptional job. Yeah.
Yeah, is she the one who commented on Dargo and was like, "Oh, he's engaging in psychological warfare." Like,
Yes, he's a psychological terrorist.
I love that bit.
Yeah, no, she's such a
Tiana eating lipstick.
like she's such a caricature of the ridiculous psychologist. But I love it. Yeah, she's also the person which you and I had both picked up during the watch, who said, if you thought the children of mixed race parents took abuse at the hands of other children, wait until one is born with tentacles. And at the time you said, we are coming back to that. So,
right.
so I don't know how everyone...
It's like, are you saying that it's good that we have prejudice between race? Like, because her point was, so this is why we shouldn't intermix. And I'm like, I feel like you were getting the wrong message from...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how everybody has an idea that Aeryn might be pregnant with John's kid. I don't know how that, came out, but it does mean that we get lots of people's thoughts on the possibility of Aeryn being pregnant with John's kid. And I love, we've got the Buddhist monk is delighted at the possibility, because intermarriages could, bring us into part of the community. And some people other people are absolutely, enthralled at the idea. And then others are that lady.
Mm-hmm. She was like, well, boy, it'll be even worse than it ever has been, because prejudice.
Yes, and
which we should have. I'm advocating for.
This is a real it is true that the children of mixed race parents deal with challenges. We know this.
We know this.
and it's always interesting how you get certain commenters who do not question why a circumstance is, or what the culture or the systems or whatever that have caused a prejudice or a negative thing. They're just like, no, this is a negative experience. And
it's like the people who argue that trans people shouldn't exist because they experience such prejudice and high depression rates and all of that. And I'm just like, so they shouldn't exist. It's just you've kind of...
You are making the circumstances in which it is hard to exist.
Yeah, it's the stop hitting yourself argument.
Yeah.
Josh, as usual, summarized it perfectly.
I'm here for you guys. Yeah. No, it's playground bullshit. It's well, if they didn't want me to hit them, then they shouldn't have said what they said. You still chose to hit them. You still made an active choice. You're still an active participant in this scenario, in this circumstance. And abdicating your responsibility for that choice to the person that you're hitting.
This person whose neck I have my boot on is making an awful lot of noise.
Excuse me.
It must be such a difficult situation to have a boot on your neck.
Yeah. One thing I loved about this episode was John's cousin coming back and being basically this embodiment of youthful hope and a voice for progress, and very and I love how eloquent he was when he was invited onto the show, and when he's saying I'm actually sharing these tapes, he freedom of information, sharing these tapes, but with the hope that it will dispel the fear. And then of course the tapes get the most get a very unfair cut by the show, which at the end of the day is just there for views, really. And I think what was going with that was, again, that idea of any effort or the effort taken to engage in, in good faith and share like the reality and the complicated reality of any human being. They have a complicated reality. They are not perfect, right? The tapes do not show these, aliens being perfect and being kind and benevolent and loving humans. But any effort to be honest and share that experience is then met with a misleading edit, taking again, like, why are you hitting yourself? Well, you yourself said that you look down on humans. You yourself said that you considered, you could invade us if you wanted to, without any difficulty, et cetera, and just sort of always taking the wrong message from things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cousin nephew Bobby brings me to a really good section. In Terra Firma he's cousin, and in this he's nephew. So cousin nephew Bobby.
Yeah. Cousin nephew.
We should take a bit into his interactions with Dargo and everything with Dargo in this episode, because oh my God, I adore Dargo and the emotional maturity he displays. Most of it, and like the way that is, like, he's the cousin nephew Bobby is sort of a perfect foil to Dargo, because he's Dargo is the voice of experience. We've got the kid as the voice of innocence, but the voice of innocence really wants to know about shooting things and killing things, and like the way that a lot of kids do, because he has no idea what the actual consequence of it. And then you have Dargo, who has experienced all these things, trying to dissuade Bobby from a warrior's life and trying to teach him the value of life. I love that.
I mean, he's a father, and this is an opportunity he didn't get with Jotham.
You can see that he's incorporated those lessons, those ideas, by the time he's in the interview.
He's seen some shit, and he's gone through some shit himself, and a lot of the ways that Bobby expresses bravado is like you said, it's not just a foil for Dargo, but it's also a good opportunity for Dargo to have some self-reflection. Because some of the things that he says doesn't sound all that different from season 1 Dargo.
Mm.
Who hangs his hat on his warrior prowess.
Mm.
And, within the first scene is humbled by Zahn. Like, I really like those kind of character beats whenever they come up in storytelling, where we get a chance to look back and see how far we've come. And so Bobby was a fun thing to do for Dargo.
He's become the heart of the ensemble, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, that was Zahn's role, and we love Dargo. He's not an emotional terrorist. Yeah, no, and then we have the delightful moment, I think, when he finally gives Bobby what he's been asking for and lets him experience being tongued.
Mm-hmm. We got to call it something else.
Yeah, you can't phrase it that way.
Yeah.
Especially after the conversation with Chiana. Got to start a galactic incident here.
Yes. He wanted the experience of being knocked out. Yes.
Better.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a kid who wants to lick the battery. I don't know. I think most kids have done something like that. I certainly did.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah.
No, I never did anything like that. You both are weird.
Of course. Charley was hatched from a perfect egg.
Yeah. There's no one contact my family or anyone to verify that statement. I never did anything weird in my life.
They were indeed hatched from an egg.
Is hatched the right word?
Well,
or is it the egg as in...
The egg was cracked.
Oh, yes, that.
I was making a
The
trans
metaphor.
joke.
Trans joke, yeah.
I'm not sure that I'm allowed to make that joke.
Yet here we are.
I think you
Yet I did.
I give you permission.
I didn't make it very well.
No, you did make it
that's
very well.
That's a different issue
You did
entirely.
make it very well. Good jokes require us to think for half a second about what they mean. Otherwise,
Good
they're
jokes
just,
require
old
explaining
jokes.
the pun. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I got there right before you explained it because I'm super duper smart,
There you
as
go.
all trans
Yeah.
people are. You know.
I'll take your word on that.
That's what you have to, because they're smart. And so are we. So what were we talking about? Dargo tonguing.
We were talking about something.
No, I was just thinking about this time that I was way too old for this, and my mother had just finished ironing some clothes and put the hot iron on top of, I think, our washing machine so that it could cool off safely. And, you know, my whole life I'd been told, don't touch the iron, don't touch the iron, don't touch the iron. And I just had this like, okay, but what aren't they telling me? And so I crept across the house, waited until she went back into her bedroom, crept across the house, and held up like, you know, Michelangelo would have carved me and pressed my hand against the surface and immediately knew why I shouldn't have touched the iron, and also that I was going to be in so much trouble. So like silent scream, you know, just like holding my hand and just going like, and tiptoed back across the living room, just collapsed onto the couch, didn't make a sound. And like this, to this day, my mother did not know that I did that. And if she listens to this episode, she will know. But I successfully satisfied my own curiosity and avoided getting in trouble, just like Bobby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You tell us how that grounding goes for you, Josh.
You could see the outline of the iron on my fingers for like a few months.
So she probably knew and didn't say anything.
I know. That's
true.
You know.
No, so she just thought you were gay for a few months. Is that it?
It was the 90s. Gay people
Or a
didn't
kangaroo. Yes, this joke is going to make so much sense to the people who are only listening.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, you had an experience and you learned from it, as our talking heads say about this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love how there's very much, there is a kind of both sides thing, but they don't, this is before the like obsession with having both sides of every argument. We do legitimately just have different perspectives. And also because this is a written thing, so it's not like what the actual news people would have. We only have one conspiracy theorist, and they appropriately frame him as, this guy's a bit of a nut. We do not actually have the aliens guy.
This is what inspired him to go into the field.
No doubt. So should we talk about that guy?
The conspiracy nut?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was real excited to see him because he was from the time travel episode.
Yeah, Sheriff Schumacher.
Yeah,
I still had the pumpkins.
I had left that episode because the camera lingered on about 3 or 4 different people, like, you know, having seen some shit. And so I left that episode wondering and hoping that we would get some kind of follow up, and we did. And you know, he kind of reminded me of Randy Quaid's character in Independence Day.
Yeah.
He wasn't 100% wrong about the things that he was saying. He was just saying it crazy.
Yeah. He'd taken like 2 and 2 and made 26.
But he couldn't show the math, and so nobody accepted the 26.
Yeah.
Well, he showed the pumpkin, which is that's where he went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the pumpkin out of it.
Okay, but I'm going to address the whole fat phobia stuff that he spews, and that I actually really enjoy it because this is how bonkers diet culture actually sounds.
The floor is yours, Sara.
Like here we have, it is played as someone being nutty, being off, I'm trying not, how do I do this without sanest language? I don't know, but is framed as someone who is a conspiracy theorist who is not in their rational mind, is talking about the important, look how thin I am and I avoid fatty foods and that's how bonkers diet culture sounds. And this was made at the height of diet culture. And it's like, yeah, you want us to treat Dr. Oz and all these people who are, and the ads and the thing and all of it, like, as normal, that, your morality is tied to your waistline and to what you eat, and your value and your looks and everything is all. No. That is all as irrational as the aliens are trying to make us fat. It's zooming things like, yeah, I mean, and again, it is kind of a bit of like the lady, the sort of like, why are you making such a fuss about the boot on your neck? It is quite shitty to be a fat person in a lot of circumstances in this world. And that when people actually admit that, they usually frame it as, and that is why you should lose weight. As opposed to, you got the causation backwards there. The world is not great because you're filling it with chairs that don't hold us, and you're not studying people with bodies like ours so that doctors don't know how to, like, it's so much of it, it's not all circumstantial, but so much of it is circumstantial and systemic. And when we try and say that, we're the ones who are perceived as like making up and talking problematic, and diet culture is not rational. And I know that David Kemper probably didn't think through like the way that he was including it in a thing, which makes us think about the hypocrisy of the who condemns and then makes allowances and all that. But it actually fits really well in that it is an example of he who holds the power decides what to condemn and when to make allowances. It does kind of fit into all this. It is body power. I'm not, don't worry. I won't go into Mr. Bald Foucault man. We could, because Charley is here. but yeah.
I'll never turn down some Foucault.
It's like we're not trying to hit the bingo card on the entire bingo card on leftist podcast commentary, but yeah, like there's a biopolitics thing there. It is not the aliens beaming messages into your brain to tell you to eat fatty foods. It is advertisements from the hegemony telling you to buy them while also buying all this diet stuff that doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then it's your fault it doesn't work. So, yeah.
That's also the Christian theocracy argument as well. Like, if things aren't going your way, you're not really praying hard enough. You're not really being faithful enough.
Yes.
It's probably your fault. If God is ignoring you, it's your fault.
Yeah, you're not trusting the process. Like, it will come eventually. It will come. Just keep going, even though your life's only gotten worse. Just keep going with this thing that's proven not to work.
Yeah, and it is in many ways tied to Protestant work ethic stuff, because of course, if you lose weight but not in the right way, which is my perennial plug for everyone to read Sabrina Strings, Fearing the Black Body: The Origins of Fat Phobia, where she goes into not only the origins within anti-Blackness, but there's a whole bit where she talks a lot about the religious aspects, particularly into how anti-fatness in Europe became a thing, and the intersections between religion and racism that it reinforces. So yeah. Fascinating book. But yeah, so yes, I'm making a lot out of something that was written as a joke. But what is a podcast but a series about rambles where you make something out of them?
Yeah. And dissect a 5-second clip of something. I think I obviously didn't think about that moment very deeply, but I wouldn't really necessarily pick up on it and think about it very deeply. But it is always appreciated when the joke is on the people making a big deal out of nothing, and poor guy though. Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy.
In many other ways, poor guy. I wonder. It did make me think about what that the nosy neighbor lady from that episode, from the time travel episode, what she's doing now, and I can only think that she is leading a mums against aliens like group sort of thing,
Yeah, like those 4 or 5 people in Florida in 1985 are feeling real fucking good right now as they're watching this documentary.
Very justified.
Shall we talk about Chiana?
Oh, Chiana with the rat. I love her so much. Plot-wise, I guess she doesn't do much in this because no one does much plot-wise, but every episode of this show reaffirms my love for Chiana. That's what I have to say.
For me, my favorite thing about Chiana in this episode was how fucking balls to the wall supportive she was of John in the present timeline, not in the documentary, but just like she was saying all the things that John would have said if he was there, because she's probably heard him say those things before, but just absolutely unwilling to let anybody give up on anything. And anybody who was like, we need to help John accept it. She's like, no, you need to fucking help John find some answers. That's what you need to help. Yeah. Like, John doesn't have to accept shit. Yeah. And I will go to the mat.
Yeah. You told him you were looking, so you better be looking.
Just love her for that.
And then she has the conversation with him about, should you give up? And when he's like, nope, I'm holding on. She holds his hand and goes with him.
Yep.
It's a delightful moment. And yeah, I think Gigi Oji just kills it in every scene in this one. And I love the innocence, the mixture of innocence and I suppose trauma. She is a troubled girl. She is in many ways troubled. She has had a lot of troubles. But she's also still incredibly innocent. So her response, her empathy for the rat was just so Chiana. And then her confusion in the bathroom, why do you need all these? And then when she's aware, that flip when she's aware that he's disgusted, is just a fascinating moment.
it's really gone sort of under the radar how like Chiana's really been going through it this season. Like, well, ever since she got her visions, really, she's really been going through it, and yet she's not really been centered or spotlighted that much. But I don't know. I just every moment that she's on screen and that she's with John, and they're really platonic soulmates, platonic soulmates who very physically attracted to each other, but they're really they are in many ways there's so many love stories in this show, which is what I love, and I love their love story as well.
The Moya polycule.
Yeah. The Moya polycule.
Yeah.
Moya and her children, who just won't stop being. So I imagine sometimes Pilot and Moya's like debriefs at the end of every episode where they're just completely. Can you believe? Did you see that? Aeryn said this, and John did this, and Dargo did that.
John, in the flashbacks, we do definitely sit with some moments of trauma, on some ways, some reflection on the ways that he's changed, which is, I think, very beautifully written.
The fact that we keep seeing him with that old family album, and him trying to connect to that person that he once was in the pictures, and obviously, and there's also been so many references this season to his mother's death and passing, and and just that idea of this family album is sort of a motif of what he has lost and what he also has used to be trying so hard to come back to and get back. And that is no longer, for a while, I think, but I think he was really realizing this season that is no longer his goal. And obviously his goal is Aeryn, his goal, his, motivation is now shifted to Aeryn, and he's not trying to reclaim the life that he once was, but he's still, I think, grieving it.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see where we go next.
Well, speaking of that, is it time we talked about that last scene?
That was so good. That last scene was so good.
Why don't we start with you, Josh, I think, because you watched it for the first time. Anyone listening to this, you are missing out on some beautiful facial expressions from Josh here. Giddiness and glee, yeah.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. The way that the whole scene was framed, done in one shot. I'm a one shot just freak. Like give me a oneer, give me a one take, give me a one shot. And I'm just slobbering all over my television. And was it a long scene? No. Was it, the Avengers fighting in New York oneer? No, that's okay. It doesn't have to be, because it's just two actors. And it's just two actors playing so well. And it, like, the twisting as it descends into Scorpius, and it very much felt like you called it in our rewatch, Sara, Deal with the Devil. It definitely felt like John was stepping into hell to have this conversation. So very excited about where that's going to go, because Scorpius has been an interesting addition to the crew in sort of a, you never know what he's going to do, kind of a chaotic element. But so far, he has been very patient, biding his time. He doesn't have to do anything crazy. And John is explicitly taking him off the leash at the end of this episode. And the look on his face, he could not be more excited. And I could not be more excited as a result.
Yeah, Wayne Pickram gets 0 lines this entire episode.
He gets one look. And he manages to anchor the entire episode.
Yeah, that is, yeah. And this has got to be one of John's best speeches. Like, he's had a lot of excellent speeches. And there is a very, very fine example that is coming up in a little bit. But this, like, no, I don't care about anything. I don't care if who rules the world, Scorpiuses or Scarens or Sebaceans, or I don't care. All I care about is Aeryn. And this is expressly the thing that he told us he was trying to hide from Scorpius, and why he was being such a weirdo and taking all the drugs and everything, because he didn't want. He somehow thought he could hide from Scorpius the thing that absolutely everybody knows, that Aeryn is his everything. And now he is explicitly telling us that he doesn't care. He will give up the wormhole knowledge, the one thing that he has been tasked to protect, that his counterpart died for, but he'll give it up for Aeryn. And damn, that's love.
It's beautiful, and I think it's such obviously there's a Cold War illusion between the Scarens and the peacekeepers, and you really know this. You may not like us, but the Scarens are worse. Like we can't let the technology fall into the Scarens' hands. Like, trust us, we're better. Everything we do is just to justify beating the Scarens. And I think the sort of rejection of that here by John, as much as in like some ways it is a bit like, well, I just care about, this person, over the universe. It's not that. It's, I'm not going to subscribe to this, us or them between two equally horrifying empires anymore. And I am going to do what the only thing that any of us can do really is try to hold on to what I love most in this universe. So in many ways it is a bit sort of individualistic. It's not a I will do what's best for the universe speech. It is if nothing we do matters, all that matters is what we do. And right now, I'm going to save Aeryn because she is all that matters. So yeah, I love the speech. I love Scorpius. I've been so tense. Season 4 is such a tense season because he's just always there. He's just always there, and I'm just like, why aren't you paying attention to him? He's gonna be doing something any second now. He's gonna be doing something. So it is such a like air out of the escaping the room moment of just like whoosh. Okay, we're letting the lion out, we're letting the bear out. I don't know what metaphor I'm going with, but the bomb's about to drop, and that's Scorpy.
The genie's out of the bottle.
The genie's out of the bottle. And I genuinely love Scorpius. I genuinely, I love him. I hate him, but I love him. I love, I've gotten to the point where I love whenever he's on screen, and I love him as a character. So yeah, this is an exciting ending to the episode.
So, on that note, are you ready to hear the title of the next episode?
Lay it on me.
Prayer.
Whoa, we're halfway there. We're living on a prayer. Also, sorry about my lighting. The sun has set as we've been recording this.
you might say we're going to take you there. Any thoughts on what might come from prayer?
Aeryn. I mean, we're gonna find Aeryn, and how we find Aeryn, what we do about it, that's a different question. But we're gonna find Aeryn in this next episode.
Well, you and I will be recording a reaction to that tomorrow. In fact, for the discussion of prayer, we will be joined by Aeronach.
Good, pretty good.
Yeah, so that should be delightful. And I, in fact, have guests lined up. Fingers crossed that everything, inshallah, works out. I have guests lined up for the entire rest because we have prayer, and then we have a 3-parter, and then we have the season finale, and then we have the miniseries. And as to the 2-party, we will be watching part 1 as its own episode, and having discussion of that. And then we will part 2 and 3 are very much the same, 2 parts of one story. So we will be discussing that. We'll be watching that together and discussing that together. 20 and 21.
I really like Farscape's 3-parters. They do a good rhythm.
They do. And
cool.
I think you're going to enjoy this one.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy this one.
And we have some excellent guests lined up.
So at the end of a constellation of doubt, there is no doubt that Josh is going to enjoy the next 2 episodes.
I believe so.
No doubt at all.
So, all right then. What is your favorite part of this episode?
Charley?
Yes, Charley?
My favorite part of this episode, just got to be John. Just throughout the entire episode, any one moment would be too difficult. But just John. Just John.
Mine is the last scene between John and Scorpius, unquestionably. That was the perfect climax.
I love a lot of bits in this episode, but I think one of my favorite things is the sociologist guy whose character's name is Dr. Jason Fletcher. And I just love every time he's on screen. He's like he's kind of looks a bit like Bernie Sanders in some ways, but he's just, I don't know. Sociology is one of those fields that I enjoy, and I just love that we've got this guy continuously coming in with like, oh wow, the spirit of humanity, and see they recognize, and I think it is particularly the quote.
Think of how we view ourselves, a sophisticated culture, growing, evolving. Then look how he views us, undisciplined and adventurous.
He's talking about the way that Dargo sees humanity as young and hopeful and, immature, but full of potential. And yeah, I agree. I think it is the light of this episode is the sort of imagining of seeing our characters from the outside, from an outside perspective, and the way that allows us, it does what science fiction does best, which is it gives us a window on looking at ourselves and our humanity. And I think it's sort of encapsulated in that one little quote about, a human sociologist, no less, responding to an alien's view of humanity. And it's not that we are exceptional. It's that there is something special within the ordinariness and the potential that humanity has.
Yeah.
So, or even just that there's always a new perspective that can come, and that can there's always new ideas and new perspectives and new ways of seeing ourselves, I think, as well.
Yeah, and as someone who, like, an academic and a queer theorist, that I just love that shit. This is why I love story, because I love the opportunity to like sort of put humanity in a microscope. God doesn't fit very well in a test tube, but humanity kind of does in some ways, but also it's really interesting to look at the ways in which we don't. So, Charley, I know you don't want people to follow you, so is there something you'd like to take this moment to recommend?
if you're in Australia, or if even you're just curious about things that have been going on lately, we've got the Australian Palestine Advocacy Network, which are doing really great jobs. They're the ones who organised that 300,000 strong protest march across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, but they actually are out there every single week protesting in the city, and mostly led by a lot of really young people who, you know, again, at 20, 21, 22 years old are just keeping up the good fight. So if you're in Australia and you don't know about them, check them out. And if you're just curious about sort of some of the things we're doing over here, then have a look, because they've really been on the ground and doing some great work.
Okay, editing Sara will insert links to these things in Australia, in Canada, and in America. And you should all particularly check out, they're working on building another flotilla, an even bigger one, to try and build a humanitarian corridor to get aid through. So yes, we will endorse that, as you don't have anything to plug.
Just plug humanity and people doing their best.
Yes.
Plug humanity.
Though not literally, because that just...
Listen. You said tonguing
we don't
earlier.
kink shame. We don't kink shame.
Consensually plug humanity.
There it goes.
Josh, where can folks find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Josh Gosdin, and I'm also going to follow Charley's lead a little bit. My birthday's coming up, and every year around this time, I usually post a small fundraiser for the Trevor Project, which is an organization that aims to reduce suicide in the LGBT community. One that's very near and dear to my heart. So I would also ask Editing Sara if you'll drop the link in the chat, which I'll have by the time this actually gets published.
Editing Sara here, actually editing on Josh's birthday. Happy birthday. And he has raised very nearly $400 for the Trevor Project, which is awesome. And you can always donate more to the Trevor Project through his fundraiser. The link will be in the description, or just go to the website and or you can donate to a similar organization in your local area. The more local you can donate is usually the most effective to help trans and queer folks, kids. Especially.
Yeah. And I found out I had to do that in the past, because sometimes the international donation links don't work too well. But yeah, if you're an equivalent project in your wherever you live, I think is always a really great way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry?
Well, I as the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube. And I would also, suggest the Trevor Project. And, the ceasefire now. And these are important. I've raised money in the past for Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, who are doing their best and helping the Palestinian children, because, people really, it's really hard watching. We have to bear witness, but we also have to, there's one TikTok I've been seeing, one TikTok creator that is, her name is Lean, and she is now 3 and in Gaza, and she does little cooking videos, watching this little 3-year-old. she cooks fool and hummus, and it's just like they don't have a lot of ingredients because but it's really is quite charming to see, like, the joy and that it, I think I find it difficult to see so much of Arab life being centered around suffering everywhere now, and it's good to remember that there is joy, because it is the joy that keeps people going. And so. Yeah, it
helps with that determination.
We did a bit of, this was our plugging charity moment.
A good time for it.
Yeah, And you can also follow the pod at the usual places. And you can leave us comments on the videos, or join our Patreon, or send us an email. And we always love to hear from you. So, yeah.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. Tell us what you think of the various talking heads in the on Alien Visitation. So yeah, I think that is it for us now. Come back in 2 weeks to join us living on a prayer. Josh, you want to sing us out?
I don't think anybody would want that now. But we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
We are more than halfway there.
We're going to get copyright striked very soon.
And
Nobody's
if you just
anything.
hold on
To what we've got. Doesn't really matter. If we're winning or not.
Yeah.
We've got each other, and that's a lot.
For love.
Whoa.
We'll give it a shot. We are total dorks.
We are, but that's why you're here. That's why you're here, guys.
Yeah, we
So, thank
assume
you.
that you are also a bunch of dorks.